Charlie, how did you find carnivore?
Great question, Dave. Thanks for having me on the show. Um, Jordan Peterson was the first person that I listened to. Um, but how I found him is that during post-pandemic and things, and like all of us, we were questioning what was going on when it came to the medical industry, and there was a lot of things happening that were becoming exposed. I think I don't need to go on about that one. um, yeah, and there was these English guys that I can't remember who they were. These old guys, and one of the old blokes said, "Carnivore, it's changed my life. Get on the carnivore." And I can't remember the old English bloke's name was. He's a big conspiracy theorist, sort of, pro activist in the UK. And what made it stick was he goes, "Mate, my poo that I have are so good I could put them on the front of Vogue magazine." Yeah, well, pretty much. And I thought, carnivore, wow, because I just started doing the keto diet. This was back in June last year, and it was around my son's birthday, actually. And I decided to do no sugar, no carbs. I was a big soft drink drinker, being an ex-alcoholic. When I gave up the booze nearly 3 years ago, this February 28th, actually, coming up next year. So it's been fantastic. And so what do you do as a substitute booze? You drink soft drink. So there I was drinking Coca-Cola. My wife runs a cafe down in here locally, and she'd bring home the cakes and things like that. And next thing I knew, I put on all this weight. But I'd been carrying it for obviously through drinking and not eating healthily. Um, I'd suffered a lot of different types of depression and things. And I was actually on the medication at that time. And so, yeah, I went in, sort of had a look at Jordan Peterson and listened to what he had to say. And then following, obviously, through YouTube and the algorithm, I then found Dr. Chafee, and he was being here in Australia in Perth, and being an ex-rugby union player like myself, I played a lot of rugby union. Strangely enough, being in South Australia, we're Aussie rules prone, but I played rugby union. So I listened to Chafee, and he was talking about the vegetables, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. So um, I decided to give it a crack. And because I'd been doing keto for a few months and not having the sugar and things, Dave, and I love meat. I'm an unofficial chef by trade. I've worked predominantly in the hospitality industry on and off for over 30 years. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, you could say. Um, yeah, so, and as I went down through the algorithms to keep myself on track, I discovered Paul Mason, another Aussie guy up in Queensland, and what he was doing and talking about diabetes and things like that. I know for a fact I was pre-diabetic. I actually hadn't had my bloods done, but what was happening is I was getting dizzy spells and things, I'd go to do my shoelace up, stand up, and it's like, whoa, Jesus, that's not normal. Yeah, things like that were happening. Struggled to wipe my ass going to the toilet. I was all because I was near 98 kilo. I'm only 5'7", and my natural weight should be around 75 kilos, 76 kilo. and I'm sitting on 77 now. Yeah, so around 21 kilo I lost. And keto, I'd started losing in the first 2 months. I lost about 4 or 5 kilo. I was sitting on around 90, 91 kilo when I decided to go carnivore. And then from then, it just fell off me. I started surfing again because my wife had seen photos of me in my 30s and 40s and how fit I was then. And she said, "Why don't you start surfing again?" And I said, "All right, I'll give it a crack." And my daughter, and being the fact that I wasn't drinking anymore, yeah, I just thought, yeah, I love my surfing. I've done it for over 32 years, and I'd stopped surfing for a good 5, 6 years. So I got myself back in the water. I had an extra large short wetsuit, and I'm now back to a men's small, medium small. Yeah, so best thing I've ever done, Dave. Um, Even the guys been out surfing with, they've seen the transition over the year from when I first paddled out July last year. I couldn't even pop up. Pop ups when you go to jump up on the surfboard, and there I was in my lounge room trying to pop up. My knees as well. They were stuffed. I was looking at my right knee. I damaged on a job that I was doing. I was working in rammed earth with a mate of mine here in Adelaide. It's a designer style of making walls. They're made of rammed earth. It's basically you're on a big pneumatic rammer. And I'd hurt my knee basically, and I was looking at a knee operation as well around that time. And through the first stages of the carnivore, after 30 days, the inflammation in my knees, all of a sudden, I could squat down. Um, Having my wife being Asian, they squat every single day. It's very natural in them. And actually run a gardening business now, and I watch her when she's down squatting doing the weeding and stuff. And I thought, I'm going to start doing that. And that has helped me so much. I fully concentrate on squatting, stretching my spine, getting right down low, letting my knees relax. All of a sudden, your knees just relax. And because I got no inflammation in my knees, the tendons have stretched. Um, I can now run, and I don't have even the cartilage. Like there's no grinding in there anymore. I'm like, honey, I've got my knees back. It's unbelievable. I can't do it. I can play tennis with my daughter now. There's so many benefits, but that was the first thing. Was the inflammation. Um, I, this finger here, right, being on a whippersnipper all the time, it got to about there, and I couldn't close it. Now I can fully close it. That knuckle used to be all swollen. It's gone. Unbelievable. Like all my knuckles, I've got no arthritis. I don't get any tennis elbow or anything like that in me anymore. I try to tell my mates about it, and they're like, oh yeah, because they're like, oh, I'm getting arthritis and that. I said, you should try this diet. I'm healed. And they're like, yeah, rightio, Charlie, good one, mate. And I'm like, well, no, I've lost 20 something kilo, and look at me. I'm surfing 6 hours a day. I never did that in my 20s. Uh, yeah. So,
Yeah. So, do you remember a TV show called Good Morning Australia, and Bert Newton was the host?
yes, yes,
And they
yes.
they I think it was Channel 10, and they used to have, like, all these paid ads that, people would come on and try and sell, I don't know, supplements or something like that, right? Oh my goodness, that really does that kind of thing and all this kind of and it's just when you talk about all this inflammation just going and all this kind of thing, like, for someone that's never heard of carnivore before, watching this, they'd be like, "Yeah, when's the sales pitch coming?" When are you going to
Yeah,
pull out the bottle of supplements? And it's like, that's the best thing about carnivore. You get all these benefits and you're not selling anything to anyone. It's like, go
yeah.
to the supermarket, you do your normal shopping as you would, you just change it to buy steak. That's the only thing. That's the secret.
And I've been blessed, David, that my local butcher down here, we have independent grocers called Foodland here in South Australia. So they're all individually owned and they source a lot of the different foodlands, source their own meat. Some of them they collaborate together, which I've noticed with the dairy and things like that. But my local butcher here, he's it's been an absolute blessing when it's for me buying my meat now, so I can buy it bulk. But certainly, I totally agree with you. Is people are looking for a catch, and my mum has even said, oh, but I send her stuff, and she actually tried the diet for about, I reckon, 4 months, and she was losing weight. But she said to me, she said, there's so much conspiracy and you just don't know who's who or what, and you wonder who those people you're talking to, who's paying them. And I'm like, well, not quite, Mum. It's a very, very different scene. It's about your health. And as you can see, I'm a living example, and that's why she did it because of what I was doing. But then she's been on medications for quite a long time now. Blood medications, blood thinners, all the soiree that every 70 plus woman, if not 60 plus, parents in Australia is on. They're all on meds. It's just ridiculous. It's really sad to see. And I've been telling my mum this for years, and I said, Mum, why you feel the way you do and why the weight you are is because of the stuff that you take. If you got all off that shit, you'd be fine. All right, you just need a good diet. Well, anyway, I got her on it, and she was doing more of a keto, little bit carnivore. I was taking her beef, and I eat a lot of prawns as well, crustaceans and crabs and things like that. So I was taking her stuff like that. But she ended up, um, she had a stroke about a month ago. Yeah. Now she's okay. She's in full recovery. It was only like a mild stroke, thank goodness. But she's turned around and she said to me, oh, I can't do this carnivore, Charlie. I think that's why I had a stroke. And I'm like, no, Mum. Imagine if you hadn't had been on carnivore. You may be dead right now. That's what you got to look at in the reality of it. And I try and tell her, these are the benefits, you know, that she's unfortunately went down the V pass during the pandemic, and she said she wasn't going to do it. And our everyday physician that we used, our family physician at the time, refused to administer it. And he actually lost his license and his job. And this is a famous family physician in the eastern suburbs of Adelaide, and he's a beautiful man. And he lost his license, and the lady that came in and replaced him convinced my mother to have it. Unbelievable! It was like I was dumbfounded. So what happened 2 weeks later? Shingles. She got shingles. Yeah. And yeah, so that's a big part of the reason how I ended up going down this path, because I questioned everything, and coming from our family doctor and physician at the time, he opened my eyes to things, and I thought, well, there's a lot of lies going on in the world that we live in, and I'm very Christian, Dave, I have my values, and I fortunately have a wife from the Philippines who's very strong in Christian upbringing as well. And every day we live in our prayers and always looking out for whoever we can help. And God is in our forefront. And I swear to God, and thank God, um, He's. I feel that this is a God-given gift that I've been given, this proper human diet, because the energy I've been given back to my life, the clarity. I don't take any pharmaceuticals whatsoever. 10 years I was on antidepressants, and it took me a long time to get off. Um, I'm completely drug free. In fact, I don't even take painkillers anymore because I don't have to. I don't get headaches. Um, there's a story behind that. I still do every now and then because I might have a dirty donut with my daughter when she comes and visits. And I wake up in the morning, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I've had a part of beer. It's incredible how sensitive your body becomes once you become fat adapted.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's amazing how yeah, how reactive you are, and you think, well, if my body reacts that badly to it, imagine the damage I was doing when I was pumping this stuff into my body on a daily basis.
yeah, and it's like alcohol itself. As you know, you being an ex-alcoholic yourself, Dave, you drink yourself sober, you know, and once you drink and you're constantly drinking, I'll go home, knock off a six pack, right? Oh, geez, I could go another one then. Bang, knocked off a half a carton. Wake up, beautiful. Next day, you know, no headache, nothing. It's because your body was just so used to consuming all of that sugar, and you're like, ugh, brain fog and everything. But that was normal. I didn't know any different. That's the great thing about it. You don't realize how much brain fog you had until you're actually out of the brain fog. you know, I didn't realize that I was suffering that bad from brain, the fog in my brain.
When did you notice that the inflammation was going away? Like, when did you have that moment where you went, "Oh, it's not hurting as much as it used to"?
Um, yeah, it's funny because there's a surf break we have here in South Australia. It's called Y steps, and it's like these steps that come down each side, and you've got the middle one that takes you down to the beach. And it was running down the Y steps. Oh, doesn't hurt anymore. Oh shit, I'm going down the steps and I'm not feeling the pain. That was pretty well it, yeah. And it happened overnight. Yeah. Like I was literally surfing there 2 days earlier, going down a bit gingerly, as you know, going downstairs when you got a bit of knee pain, that's when you really feel it. If you're going up so bad, going down is when you feel knee pain. No, wandering down the stairs, I thought, my God, it's gone. I can't believe it. And also, I was starting to pop up on the surfboard, no problems. I was getting the flexibility back. Um, yeah, so uh, the, the also my hands as well, just with working all day. I still get a little tiny bit sore sometimes, but I'm talking, 5 hours on a whippersnapper clearing land can get a bit daunting sometimes. Uh, but if I was,
That must have been such a rush to notice that that wasn't hurting anymore because, like, it was everything for you, the joints in your fingers and knees, everything, right? For me, it was just the knee, and
yeah,
that was
yeah,
just the most amazing thing, but to have everything getting better.
yes, yes, yeah, it's incredible. Uh, the healing with all the brain fog going and all the inflammation going and the energy that I discovered as well. And I found myself not having to eat as much, no breakfast, virtually skipping lunch, and there's some days I'd get a bit hungry around 11 o'clock, and I'd have myself a steak with some fats and a few eggs then. But then I won't have dinner. And it might be, then it might be 24 hours before I've eaten again. And look, Dave, today this is my routine. Last night, I sent you a picture of one of my meals that I have. I have prawns. Sometimes I have a couple of poached eggs with it on the steak, my fats on the side, my Greek yogurt, pot set Greek yogurt. I've got to start making my own yogurt. And that I generally have around 5:30, depends when I get home from surf. Like tonight I ate around 6:30 tonight. But eating yesterday would have been 7 o'clock last night. Got up this morning at 5 o'clock this morning, met my mate down at Weistett's. We surfed 2 hours, came out of the water around 9 o'clock. Thought, let's go around and check some of the reefs. I rang one of my clients and said, look, I just said, look, I've had a few things change. I'm going to have to reschedule you because the surf is pumping. So I was like, I'm going to dedicate this day surfing today. And went and surfed one of the other breaks called Triggs, and we surfed from 9:30 and I came in at 1:30. So 4 hours. So 6 hours I'd already been surfing today. Then I rang one of my other mates, Tim, who'd just come back from a weekend with his family. And he said, oh, here the waves are on. So I met up with Tim, 2 o'clock, back out at the trough, surfing another break. And hour and a half there, came in, and then we said, let's go to White Steps again. It's going to be good. The tide's coming in. So I went back there and had another surf for an hour. So all in all, I'd surfed nearly 8 hours today. No, I never did that, even in my 20s, mate. So that just goes to tell you, once your body becomes fat adapted, I could run a marathon right now. I kid you not. The energy it's given me in the sense that I don't get hangry anymore as you do from carbs and things. I'm not hungry. I'm not starving. All I had today was I make a high fat milk. I got my milk here. This is from the Adelaide Hills, non-homogenised milk, lots of cream in it. And I make an iced coffee that I put in the thermos. I took that and I had a couple of litres of water, and that's what I'd had today, you know. I do sometimes know when I'm going down the south coast and stuff, I'll get a couple of big tablespoons of Himalayan sea salt and mix that up with my cold water and have a couple of litres of that made up. So I've got my electrolytes for the day. But that's pretty much what I have most days, during the daytime. And the energy's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And how old are you now?
I'm 53. Yeah.
53. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you ever have imagined you'd have that much energy at 53?
No, no. Fortunately, I've got a wife that's in her 30s, so she's pretty happy. I'm feeling like I'm 30 again, mate. I kid you not.
Nice.
I try and tell my mates that, and the only ones that actually do listen are the surfers that have seen me, watching the transition of me struggling to pop up, and now I'm surfing freely. I'm surfing like I did back in my 20s, and with all the energy, and I'm pulling off all the manoeuvres, and okay, I'm not as good as what the modern day kid does nowadays. God bless them, they're unbelievable. But I'm surfing well, and I'm back surfing into waves that you question yourself about when it comes to life and death. Because I was surfing waves last Saturday, a place called Waypinga Beach down here, and it's one of the heaviest beach breaks in Australia. It's incredibly heavy, and I got held down on on Saturday, and you certainly know you're alive. And I'll tell you what, it was unreal, and it was just nice to feel that bit of fear, bit of excitement at the same time, and that was all the stuff that you had when you were a grommet, taking on the whole new thing, So that's how I feel. I feel like a super brain grommet. In fact, one of the young guys said to me, "Oh, this is Chuck," because they call me Chuck, the grommets. And now this is Chuck. He's one of the oldest grommets here. He introduced me to one of his mates.
You mentioned your wife before. Has she started eating this way as well?
Well, it's funny you say that, Dave. We got she's from originally from the Philippines, and we got married when we first met, and she came over here to Australia. We got married here, and we only just had our Filipino wedding because of the pandemic and all the restrictions that were involved. We couldn't go back, and so this year we decided to have our Filipino wedding. So post Filipino wedding, and we've had a little boy. I've got a little 2.5-year-old little boy, Max, with her, and I'm in my 50s and I've got a little boy, and it's the best thing that's ever happened in my life, and so is she, to be honest with you. And the she decided to obviously she never sort of quite recovered. Fortunately, she had to have a cesarean when she had, and she women they lose all their the muscle in the belly and stuff. And but yeah, she decided to do the carnivore before, and she lost about 6 kilo in a month. Just fell off, and she goes, "Oh my god!" All of a sudden, her jeans are loose. And oh, God bless her, she looked amazing in her wedding dress. Oh, she looked good. Yeah. So, but when you get to the Philippines, beef you can get beef over there. Fortunately, uh, the island that May's from is a quite heavily with the Muslim religion, and it's sort of 50-50 actually. It's Christians and Muslims. So the Muslims is where you get your beef from because they don't eat pork, but the rest of the Philippines do. Yeah, so managed to her sister's married to a Muslim fella, and he managed to get us some beef over there. But it didn't have the fats and stuff on it. Couldn't get the fats. It was just unusual type of beef. Um, so I ate goat when I was over there, and I ate the wild chicken, which is just the best because she's off a farm in the mountains of Mindanao, at a place called Alamada, and it's most beautiful waterfalls. It's a beautiful place. We spent a month there and just sat in the farm, got married, ate, hung around, and swam in the rivers and things like that. No rice, but they have French bakeries over in the Philippines, and they're very good bakers. And my sister-in-law kept buying me donuts because last time I was over there 4 years ago, I was in love with these donuts. Oh my god! So I actually came home about 3 kilo, trying to stay off the sugar. I've got to tell you, being an ex-addict, um, I that is got to be the hardest drug in the world to get off. It's just so dangerous, though. You get a taste and you're off again, And I couldn't drink alcohol, and like I don't want to get the taste. For some reason, with sugar, it just it wants it. It's really really hard. It is really hard, and that's been the biggest thing that people have said to me that want to get off the, you know, trying to lose weight and get the information. But I can't give up sugar, and that's their biggest thing. I said, well, I understand that, but you can. Um, and when I find that I am focused, like I get a little bit dirty, probably once a month. I might have a little bit, but the first 8 months I didn't have any sugar at all. But since I've come back from the Philippines in July, I've been hopeless. I haven't been able to control my sugar addictions, and I've never done a line diet for a month. So that's my next task. I know if I go full line diet and cut back on the dairy, I know that's going to help me pass the sugar thing. Because what I was doing before was when I had a craving for sugar, I would have my electrolyte water, and that just killed it straight away. Yeah, yeah. Found that was
It
a really good thing for me.
it's so scary to think that, really they should have recovery centers or rehab centers for sugar addicts. Like it's that bad, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I lived in Sydney for 25 years, Dave. I left here back in 1998, and I went over there and living on the northern beaches. And northern beaches in Sydney is probably one of the most amazing cities you could live as far as beaches in the world. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Hit water and everything. And everyone there is fit, surfing. You get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. There's hundreds of people running up and down the beach. There's no such thing as fat people on the northern beaches. Everyone's super healthy. It's just a done thing. If you're fat, you're not from the northern beaches. That's just how it was. And coming back to Adelaide,
It's kind of like if you're fat, you got lost.
yeah, you're lost. You must be from the western suburbs. It's a very affluent area, I've got to say. Um, and yeah, that's just how it is. It's a beautiful place, but yeah, there was no fat people. God bless the people that are overweight. Um, we can help you. There is an answer, and it's not genetics. Partly is, but majority it's not. And that's just stone cold facts. And you try to tell them, they're like, okay, you're like you got two heads. Oh no, that's what the doctor said. And it's like, well, mate, how many people you know from the doctor that are really healthy? None of them. They're all on their
Yeah.
meds, you know. And Adelaide has turned into the fat capital of Australia. It's unbelievable.
Are you
I
serious?
cannot. Oh, you'll see, Dave, when you get over here at the end of the month.
Mm.
It, you go to the shopping centre, and 4 out of 5 people are overweight, and I'm talking teenagers. Right through the demographic. It's really, really sad. And I've pointed it out to my wife. I can't get over how many overweight people are here in Adelaide nowadays. And Adelaide used to be, it was never like that. Growing up in the 70s, the 80s, you're lucky to have a fat kid in your school class. It was never like that. And things really changed, I reckon, early 90s, it started. The fast food thing started booming off and what have you. And I think I know it's got a lot to do with the fact that women started working and the family unit, kids are forced into school early and they relied on the tuck shop where once upon a time, mum was at home making their sandwiches and all of that, like we were when I was a kid, and we ate good food. But that changed. And I know myself, just in the late 80s, it started changing for me. I was eating crap food. Um, and a perfect example is my oldest brother. He's had 4 children, and two of them, the first two of them, both had kidney disease in their early teens was when it started coming through. Now, I remember going to babysit, and God bless my sister-in-law at the time. She was working flat out as a nurse. My brother was running car dealerships. He was also doing taxi driving at night, and it was just overworked. She'd come home, grab a packet of nuggets, throw it on the tray, throw it in the oven with some chips. Here you are, kids. Boom, boom, boom. Off you go. They bought up chips and nuggets. No wonder their kidneys failed. All that saturated, the not saturated fats, the you know what I mean? What are they called? The trans fats.
Trans
All that's
fats, yeah.
yeah, it's pre-cooked in it. That's what's destroyed their kidneys, you know? So my brother has had to donate one of his kidneys to his daughter. So he's got one kidney now. And I wish I could get him on the carnivore diet. I tell you, he would bounce off the walls. He's good. He does look after himself. He doesn't drink really hardly at all, but he drinks a soft drink. And I see it all around his neck and stuff. He's got the inflammation. And I only saw him a month ago and he came up to me, oh, my, I can't close my finger. And I said, I had exactly the same thing, Anthony. Look, it's perfectly fine now, you know. I had all the information. I said to him, and he's like, oh, yeah, but I can't do that. I said, mate, once you, that's what I found after the 30 days, especially after about 2 weeks, Dave, I started craving the meat. My whole palate changed after about 2 weeks. It was like, I can't wait to get home and have a steak. But leading up to that, it was like, oh, I eat steak tonight, you know. But then, boom, it was like a light bulb turned on. And that was when all the inflammation and everything started happening. I was losing weight quickly, and all of a sudden I started craving the steak. And I thought, I can't wait to have steak. I might even get a lamb tonight, you know. So, and I try to explain that to him. I said, your palate changes. You Once your palate changes, your gut biome changes and everything. Because he's got chronic, what do you call it, gas. He farts all the time, burps and farts and burps and farts, and it's the shit that he's eating. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. He
I
makes a
mean,
bit of a joke. Typical bloody Aussie. It's hilarious.
pull my finger and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, you got it.
And the thing is, the doctors and the pharmaceutical industry and all the marketing would have you believe that all the issues that you just talked about there are down to saturated fat. But
Yeah,
you go back you go back to the early '80s and look at the photo of when we were kids, and you look at people in a park or on the beach or something like that, there are no fat people, but they were eating more saturated fat back then, but they
yeah,
weren't eating the garbage that we're eating now.
yeah, 100%. You know, in the 70s, I think McDonald's just started here in Australia. You know, no one ever went to McDonald's. God, bloody McDonald's, we had a bloody barbecue. You know, that's what it was like. There was barbecues going every single Saturday and Sunday in Australia. You know, and it was religious. You know, we even had lamb it up on adverts on TV, and all sorts of stuff. You know, and it's so true. And I even think about my grandparents, and because my mum's a country girl, country South Australia here, and they were wheat sheep graziers. And, you know, they had the giant dripping tray in the bottom. They'd pull out the dripping, boom, all over the lamb. You know, even your veggies, they were all cooked in the dripping, which was your tallow, you know. And you had the real butter, and the milk was from milk from the cow, and you know we were consuming saturated fats like you wouldn't believe.
Right.
And
You remember you remember, like, your mum, if you ever were cleaning up in the kitchen, your mum would be like, "Don't pour that fat down the sink,"
no,
because
that's right.
we were using lard or something to cook with, right? And then all of a sudden, there was a change in the '80s where it was, "You can pour whatever you want down the sink now because we're not using saturated fat anymore."
No, that's right. Everyone started using canola oil, olive oil. Fortunately, being you know, in the hospitality industry, I've always been very conscious of oils, and I think the only seed oil I ever used was grapeseed oil. You know, but I always had good quality olive oils, fortunately, and so things like that. But It's the sugar and the carbohydrates. That's what causes all that inflammation. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple thing. Once your body changes and becomes fat adapted, and you start craving the meat, you start craving the fats. Like I love my glass of milk. I do love a good glass of milk. Um, I'll have that before I go to bed, and just helps me day full, I suppose. That's probably more than anything.
Yeah.
Day to day, I'll eat pretty much OMAD, pretty much nowadays. One meal a day. I do have a little bit of a snack, but I cook 50 with my butcher here. I'll order. He gets 5 to 8 kilo whole rumps that I buy off of him. And every now and then he has the ribeye steak at around $20 a kilo, but I'm paying around $13, $14 a kilo for the rump, which is great value. Your average price for rump in your big mainstream supermarkets is up around the 20 bucks a kilo. So it's a big saving buying it in bulk. So one of those rumps I would cut up myself, put it in the freezer, and then I learnt from Anthony Chafee as well. If you've got one, put one in the fridge as well and let it mature in the cryovac. And I always found once that's matured, once it's sat in the cryovac for 2 to 3 weeks, even past the use by date, they say on it, and it just becomes more and more tender, and which was a great tip that I got from Mr. Chafee. And so I've always got the meat turning over all the time. We get lamb. My wife likes to get a bit of pork, naturally, being Asian. We don't eat as much chicken anymore unless we get some wings. Wife likes to, she makes these beautiful fried chicken wings, and she does it in the tallow, you know. All right, she does a little bit of a spice on them and stuff, but they're beautiful. Oh, everything we cook in the tallow, you know. She makes these spring rolls, she cooks them in the tallow, and the people that eat those spring rolls, best spring rolls they've ever had in their life. Because you're not tasting this bloody vegetable fat trans rubbish. It's in the natural tallow with the meat flavours going through it. Beautiful. Best bloody spring rolls you'll ever eat. And they are. But back to what I'm eating, and he gives me a big bag, probably about 3 kilo of beef and lamb cut-offs, because he has to trim the fat for the butcher, to put in the store. And I go in and see him every week. Fats Charlie gives me a bag, boom, it's free. I get my fats for free, and because they just throw it out. All the butchers throw it out, And anyone that wants to do carnivore in Australia, don't go to your butcher and say, "Can I buy fats?" Just say, "Have you got some to give me?" You don't need to buy it because they're throwing it out anyway. Anyone that charges you to buy it, bloody don't go to that butcher.
Yeah. So
you know?
I'm interested when you were talking about the friends you go surfing with, like those people will kind of listen to you when you're talking about carnivore because they can see the effect it's had on you. Has anyone gone, oh, I'm going to try this?
Yes, because just tonight I got a message from a mate of mine, and Tim. Yeah, g'day Tim. You'll see this podcast, and this is the picture he sent me tonight. This is my carnivore tonight. So he's going keto. Yes. So he's getting into it. Yeah. He's seen what I do and the energy I've got, and he just said, "I love hanging out with you, Charlie. You're just full of energy. You just let's go, and there's no, oh, I don't want to go there. He said, "You just do it. He goes, "Look, you want to go surfing? Yeah, let's go." You know, and
And
he feeds off it.
hit on what you've hit on is the best way to convince people because you're not going up there and talking to them about it. You're showing them what it's done for you, and then they can't
Yeah,
argue about anything, right?
that's it. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And I do. And fortunately, there are quite a few guys in my age group. It's actually a good bloke I just recently bought a new board off. 40. He runs one of the local uh, surf shops here, Daily Grind, and he's been doing it. He's been doing a sort of a keto board. They did 8 weeks, no booze, and he's just saying, I can't believe how much better he feels. And he said, "Yeah, look, I'm hardly eating any veggies." And he said, "Look, every now and then with the kids, I might have a bit of fruit, but I'm cutting right back, Charlie. And I can't tell you how much better I feel." And he said, "I've just got so much more energy." Like he said, most mornings he gets up and he'll eat, 4 or 5 eggs and a bit of bacon and good quality sourdough. The guys, they'll eat a little bit of that. I've heard that a good quality non-GMO sourdough isn't too bad because of the fermentation. Um, I haven't gone down that road. Um, when I first started doing my keto thing, I used to have sourdough with a bit of balsamic vinegar and a beautiful olive oil, and just toast a little bit of that, and used to chew on that to for sustenance. But I haven't done that for over a year now, so um, yeah, it's a year and a half almost. August last year I started, so yeah, 14, 15 months into my carnivore now. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, if you did have another mate come to you and say, "Look, okay, I'm going to try this, Charlie. I'm skeptical, but I can see how well you're doing, so I want to try it." What would you tell them to get started? What would your kind of top tips be for them?
I'd ask them why. Why do you want to do it? You know, because you got to have a purpose. And if they go, "Well, I like seeing what you're doing and you're bouncing off walls or whatever," or "I've got the arthritis," or whatever, I've seen. I'd say to start off, I think just do a ketogenic diet. Obviously, carnivore is a form of a ketogenic diet, but just try and eliminate your carbohydrates, get rid of your sugar, and don't drink. Stop drinking. Yeah, because alcohol is the lead. It's going to lead you into sugar, and you'll never ever get where you want to go. And look, if you think you can do it, put yourself with people like minded as well. And what kept me focused was listening to yourself, Dave, and all my influences. I've been loving Kent Carnivore lately. I just listened to his story for the first time. I've listened to a lot of his podcasts with Dr. Abs and things like that. Those guys over there are really cool to listen to. And I love his little payout things that he does against people, and that's pretty funny. But Homestead Howe, he's been amazing as well. Ben Bickman, all about your mitochondria and things like that. I love listening to Rena. She's great. I love Rena. She's got her voice yeah, and she does really good guests as well. So do you, Dave. You get some good guests. Paul Mason, Kelly Hogan. I don't really listen to Kelly that much, but she was one of the first influences I did listen to. I like listening to a bit of Ken Berry. Oh, Max German, young carnivore. So any young guys that are getting it, that's who I put them onto. Max German. He's fantastic, that young kid. Oh, good on him. Like, we need more like that in his. He's going to make a difference, and I think he already is. People, other influencers are talking about him and stuff, but I always have the podcast going. Put my headphones on when I'm with a snipper with my earmuffs over the top, and I just have podcasts going, just listening to people's stories. And the healing benefits. I'd, I'd just say to them, do the keto for a month, and then go and do the carnivore and mix it up a bit. Don't make it, it's not just eating meat. You can have your eggs, you can have your bacon. I don't eat that much bacon. I'm not too keen on it. I find the cooked fats in the air fryer is really nice snack to have. But get yourself some nice fish, with cooked in the butter, French style. Why do you think the French look all so healthy? Because they've got such a rich, saturated fat, bloody palate. It's incredible. Um, eat your butter. If you're going to eat cheese, pick on the back of the cheese packet and see if the animal rennet has been removed, because a lot of it has nowadays. So most of the cheese I get is French cheese, which has got the animal rennet in it because they make it vegan friendly. So most of my cheese has got the animal rennet in it, so it's actually good quality cheese. Yeah, so that's a little tip for carnivores out there. If you love your cheese, yeah, just check on the back. It'll say non-animal rennet, animal rennet. Yeah. So if it says vegan friendly, there's no animal rennet in it, and that's the goodness that's in the cheese. Yeah,
Vegan friendly
yeah.
is not carnivore friendly.
No, it's not.
Charlie, do you have a way people can reach out to you? Do you have any social media?
I'm on Facebook, and I think it's called Carnivore. I've just recently decided to start posting stuff. I've been posting a couple of bits and pieces of my surfing, what I eat, when I'm butchering up some meat and things like that. So I do Facebook. I don't do YouTube yet. I suppose I might do something eventually. But I try and keep my social media pretty low key nowadays. I'm pretty busy as it is. But yeah, I call myself Carnivore Surfing Charlie. You can look me up. You'll see me with my wife there, and me surfing. Please feel free to send me any messages. Any surfers out there that are thinking about getting into it, particularly in my age group. And there are quite a few of us now. We're all starting to get into this carnivore because we've all realised, okay, we've been through the 80s and 90s, and we've all had our addiction problems. And unfortunately, with the surfing culture, it's very, very high. And thanks to Kelly Slater and the modern day surfer nowadays, that picture of the old drug addict surfer has completely changed because they are ultimate athletes nowadays. And Kelly Slater is probably a perfect example, being at 50 years of age, still surfing professionally when most of them retire at 26, 27. So that
Yeah.
speaks for itself. And there you go. And he actually lives on a keto diet. He's not full carnivore, but he does predominantly eat meat as well. Yeah, surprisingly, there you go.
I'll link to your Facebook page below. Charlie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure, Dave. I'm really glad I got an opportunity to have a chat with you. Yeah, another Aussie overseas, hey?